What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Markel Brookwood, and welcome to the fifth episode of Rolling with Creatives. Now, my special guest that I have here today is someone that I've known for a very long time. This individual is someone who has faced many challenges in their life and not once decided to give up or quit. And I'm super stoked to have this individual here with me today because it's been 3.5 years since we've been able to see each other. And it honestly feels like no time has passed, and I absolutely love it. So, for those of you who are watching, I would like you all to meet my friend, Shawna Dingman.
Hi, guys.
Shawna, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on my podcast. It truly means a lot.
I'm honored you asked me.
Of course, thank you. So tell me and the audience the journey of Shawna Dingman from the beginning and how you got to where you are now.
Oh, well, I feel like it's a pretty long one, but we'll sum it up as best as we can.
Love that.
Well, we went to school together. You obviously know that. We went to CV. CV was a lot. Did a lot of sports. Didn't honestly have any interest in photography, which is kind of funny that I ended up here. Yeah, you know me. We played all the sports, and just it was a tough time growing up. I was adopted, and just like having that constantly like thrown out there from my parents was a lot, and it wasn't anything that like I was allowed to keep private, so that was a lot to like struggle with growing up, especially being super young and not understanding that type of stuff. So like elementary school was tough. You know, I didn't have the best relationship with my mom. I love my dad. We have a great relationship, but me and my mom have always like butted heads and not gotten along. So that's always been a thing. And then with being adopted, my parents always kind of like pushed it on to me. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. It was kind of, I always had a preset path by my parents, and it's never, like, I never felt like I had my own path really. So it was always like, okay, you're going to go to high school. This is the high school you're going to go to, but then you're going to go to college or university. Like, that's just end game. That's all you're doing. It doesn't matter how you get there. That's what you're doing. So that's kind of my path and my journey and like how I kind of got to where I got to. And then once we hit grade 8, I was supposed to go to Barton with everybody else because, you know, that was our feeder school. Did not happen.
Yeah.
Got absolutely dicked around and ended up going to Sherwood. It worked out well. It ended up working out because originally I was going to go to Sherwood anyways. And then I was super hesitant because, you know me, I'm shy, I'm awkward. And I'm like, nobody I know is going to Sherwood except for 3 guys. And it's not like I'm going to be friends with them. Like I was friends with them, but I was like, it's not going to go anywhere. Like it's high school. I'm going to be this loner.
The anxiety
was huge. So I was like, I'm not going. So then after already filling out the Sherwood papers and being like, fine, I'll do it, whatever, because it was making my parents happy, I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm going to Barton. So I stuck my ground with them. I was like, okay, I'm going to Barton. And then I like literally we withdrew my application from Sherwood. And then literally one gym class, no, actually health class in Mr. Steiner's class, it was me, Abby, and Laura, and he was like, hey, I need you guys to go like come out in the hallway with us. And we were like, what the fuck? Like we thought we were in trouble, and we were like, what is going on? Like we literally didn't do anything. And he goes, okay, I need you guys to go to the office. So then that made us freak out even more. And he goes, we're like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, like somebody's just here to meet you. Like I just need you to go meet somebody at the office. And we're like, oh, okay. So we ended up going to the office, and it was actually the Sherwood rugby coach, like going around to each like elementary school, trying to get people to like go to Sherwood and like join the girls rugby team and stuff, and also just join like summer rugby. So then all 3 of us actually ended up joining summer rugby. We started it together. Me, Abby, and Laura went to the first like 2 or 3 together, and then Abby stopped, Laura stopped, and my parents were like, nope, you're still going, even though I was like, I don't want to go. My girls aren't there anymore. I don't know anybody. I don't want to go. It's anxiety again. I don't know anybody. They're like, no, you're going. Like, we don't care. You're going. This is how you're spending your summer. And I was like, fuck, like, what the hell? I'm like, I don't want to spend my summer like this. Like, I don't know anybody. So I just spent all summer pretty much training with Stony Creek Camels, and that's how I started playing rugby, and literally just kind of kept to myself. And then I remember it was our first like big tournament, and again, I didn't really talk to anybody because you're going into high school, it's all girls, you know how it is, it's cliques. So I was very like out of it because I didn't know anybody and I didn't have friends prior. So I remember it was our first tournament, and it was our last game. I was thrown in as fullback, and we were playing, and I got the ball, and I ended up like scoring a try literally from our like end of the field to theirs, and everybody was like, what the fuck, this girl has speed. And then after that, everybody was like, oh my god, we love you. So then I was like more a part of the team, and that was probably like midsummer. And then by the end of our very like last tournament, which was probably last week of August,
and you're in grade 9 at this point, right?
No, this was still grade 8.
Still
so
grade
summer
8?
going into grade 9.
Okay.
Yeah, so the very last tournament we had, my coach came up to me and she goes, so I need you to sign this. And I was like, what? Like, what do you need me to sign? She goes, your parents already signed it. You're going to Sherwood. And I was like, wait, what? And she goes, you're not going to Barton. You're signing this and you're coming to Sherwood. She goes, I'm getting you in, so sign the paperwork. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, my parents already signed it, didn't tell me, didn't discuss. So I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. So I ended up signing the paperwork, and like she like rushed got me into Sherwood, and I actually wasn't supposed to start like high school until a week after everybody. So I was supposed to start at Barton and then go to Sherwood
and switch over.
Yeah, and then I got a call the first day of school from the guidance counselor, and they're like, hey, like we had a mix up, like we can actually get you in today and you can start today. And I was like, yeah, I'd honestly just rather do that than like show up a week later, because then you're that new girl even more. So then I ended up going to Sherwood, and then that was kind of history for rugby. And then I just started playing that, and all throughout like high school, I always wanted to do photography and tried to do like photography class. Never worked for my schedule, because again, had that preset path, was like, oh, you have to go to university. And I was like, oh, I want to be like a physiotherapist, because I was super into sports. Like sports was everything to me. So I was like, I want to like do something with that but still help people. And then once in grade 11, I partially tore my ACL and basically was told, we can't do anything for you until you fully tear it. So I waited 2 years and did not go back yet. Didn't go back until grade 13. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to do it because I miss it. I don't care. If I tear my ACL, I tear my ACL. And literally first game in grade 13, tore it the exact same way. I partially tore it. It was 20 minutes into the game. I went to tackle a girl. And as soon as I tackled her and we went down, I felt everything tear. And I felt something else too, because that didn't happen when I partially tore my ACL. And I just remember screaming, and all the girls were like, we're going to get up. I'm like, it's not you. Like, I tore my ACL. I already know what this is. Like, it's fine. But I'm freaking out because of how bad it hurts. And then,
I was going to say, like, what did that pain feel like? Like, how excruciating was
it? It literally felt like your knee was going to blow up.
Really?
Like, there was so much pressure, your knee felt like it was gonna, like, my knee just felt like it was gonna blow up. And the way it just, like, literally inflated like a balloon with swelling and kept that way for months. And it was because with me tearing my ACL, I ended up flipping my meniscus as well. And we didn't know that until I had the surgery. Like, my surgeon didn't even know that. And prior to me getting the surgery, because I actually had surgery on the first day of university, we had to get like my knee drained. We ended up draining like probably like 5 to 6 syringes full of just blood from my knee.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and then like it was that bad. Yeah, and like even once we drained my knee full of like all the blood, it just, my like knee was literally like this, and I couldn't bend it. And that's why they rushed me into surgery, because they're like, you may never be able to like walk properly again, and your leg might be stuck like in this bent position, and you may never be able to straighten it like properly. Yeah, so they like got me into surgery. So I had it first day of university. So again, new girl, missing first day of university, don't know anybody, and I went out to Laurier in Waterloo. So like that was huge. And like I was supposed to stay on campus, like in like student housing and like the dorms and stuff. In the summer, I ended up just canceling that, and I ended up living like with my partner at the time and his friend, because I was like, I'm not gonna go meet somebody new and just expect them to take care of me. You know that I don't like asking for help. So I was like, I'm not gonna ask a complete stranger. So like, yeah, I ended up living with them, and like that was fine. But yeah, after like doing all that, I really didn't have much of like a life in photography yet, just because I was so like focused on like healing and stuff like that. And then because I went to Laurier for like in Waterloo, kinesiology. After the whole knee thing happened, it was really hard just to even do the program, because one of my classes I had, literally you failed if you missed 2 classes. It didn't matter if you attended everything else. They were like, if you missed 2 classes, you automatically fail.
Really?
Yeah, and I already missed one of the classes because of my surgery.
So even if, what if you had a doctor's note?
Didn't matter. Really? They were like, you automatically fail. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was very like strict that way because like the kinesiology program at Laurier was like really hard to get into. Honestly, I was very shocked I got into it because like not that I'm not smart, but I was like, there's definitely people who have better grades out there than me, which is fine. Like I accept that, but I got in whatever. So I was like, I get the strictness, but it was so hard to manage with all the doctor's appointments I had. And honestly, like once I started doing all the classes, I was like, this just isn't what I thought it was gonna be, and it's like it's so not that it was like it was hard, and it wasn't that I didn't want to do it because it was hard. It was just something where I was like, none of this is like like sticking with me. I can't retain any of this information, and I'm like, all of this is so fucking boring.
Yeah.
Like it was just too boring, and with my ADHD, I was like, I can't stay fucking focused. Like I just can't. So then my partner at the time, he ended up dropping out of his program because he just wasn't liking it either. He went to college. And once he dropped out, I was like, okay, well, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. So what did I do? I called my parents and I was like, I want to drop out too.
Meanwhile, they literally like they paved your whole life basically. Like,
no,
like,
so they didn't pay for any of my university.
No, like, I mean like paved it. Being
oh
like,
yeah, like
being
paved.
like, okay,
sorry, I thought you said
no,
paid.
you're fine. Being like, you're going to university.
Yeah.
And now you're just like, I don't want to do this. So now again, the anxiety is probably building
up. My parents were not happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a long conversation, a big talking to, and they're like, you're not dropping out. And I was like, okay, but why? Like, I don't like the program. What's the point of me wasting all this money? I'm like, because I'm going to have to pay it back. Like, I get what you're saying. You don't want me to quit. It's not that I want to quit. It's like, this just doesn't make sense to me. So why are we going to put me in such bad debt if it's not something I want to do? And my mom was like, okay, no, like, that's fair. And I get your, like, logic to it. And she's like, how would I make you a deal? And I was like, okay, what's the deal? She goes, finish out your year. She goes, I don't care, like, you can drop out of, like, your program. She goes, just stick the year out there. And she goes, but while you're doing it, she goes, I want you to see if there's any other program you want to do. She goes, because you're coming home and you're still going back to school. She goes, whether it's university or college, she goes, you're doing something. I don't care.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, and I was like, all right. So I went to my guidance counselor, and I was like, honestly, like, I don't like this program. I thought I'd like it. I thought it was what I wanted to do, but it wasn't anything like it just wasn't sticking. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to help people and be involved with sports and do physio. I'm like, but all the like the mechanics of it, I'm just like, my brain's not having it. So I was like, I need something that like I can do here that can maybe get me into another program or help me figure out what I want to do if I am dropping out of here altogether, and if I'm going to like college or whatever. So my guidance counselor was like, okay, well, if you don't need, like, if you're going to drop out of, like, your kinesiology program, he literally scrapped. I think we had, like, 6 classes per semester. He literally scrapped half my schedule. Okay. Because he goes, you don't need any of this then. He's like, why would I keep you in these classes? So all I had to finish out was, I think, biology and chemistry. And I had one other class, I think, but I don't even remember what it was. And then he's like, hey, I'm just like, how about we just give you random fillers then? It's like, okay. So one of the fillers he suggested, he's like, okay, well, why don't, because he's like, what do you like? And I was like, honestly, I really like true crime. I like that kind of stuff. And like criminology and like policing, like I think that would be really cool. And he's like, okay, perfect. He goes, we have an intro to criminology class that's only taught here. He goes, but that's the problem. He goes, we have an intro class. He goes, but the whole entire program's like in Brantford. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's not a big deal, but like just put me in it.
The other campus, right?
Yeah, the other campus. So he put me in the intro class, and I honestly fell in love. My professor was amazing. She was so funny. She was great at teaching, super relatable, and she was young like us. So it was like, this is so nice. Like, it actually catches my attention. And literally, I think after like 2 classes, I called my mom and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Brantford instead. I was like, it's going to still be the same school. It's super easy. All my like credits transfer, so I don't have to start fresh. I don't have to do a whole new year. I'm like, they're just considering all my kinesiology and science stuff as electives. I'm like, that's more than fine with me. So then the year later, I ended up switching to like criminology in Brantford. So I did that, and I literally did that all throughout COVID too. I actually graduated during COVID. We didn't have a graduation because nobody was allowed to have graduation, which was crazy. We ended up having a graduation like 4 years after, which was wild. So random. But yeah, we didn't have a graduation.
Did you attend?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
That's all that matters.
Exactly. We didn't have a graduation. And then after that, I just kind of like panicked because it was like, wow, I've been in school my whole life. What am I going to do now? Like, literally, what am I going to do now after I do criminology? Because you always hear once you get out of university, especially for criminology, they're like, it's so hard to get a job. And I'm like, great, what do I do with it then? Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't want to
Yeah.
just keep working retail because I'm pretty sure at the time I was still working at Walmart, like selling cell phones and stuff. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't what I want to do forever. Like, I want to leave. So I ended up looking into like more programs because I was like, I just feel like school's kind of like at the time was a safety net. And it was like, oh well, my path always was I have to do school, I have to do this. So I'm like, why don't I just stay in my comfort zone and do school more? So then I ended up finding a program at Humber called Forensic Identification, and it literally taught you everything about forensic. But I did it mid COVID, so like the program was half of what it should have been
Mm-hmm.
because we weren't allowed to do stuff, and they
Yeah.
literally had to have it like everything was taught online. But we had labs once a week where literally only like I think it was like 7 to 10 like students could come in
At a time.
at a time, and it was like they would come in for like an hour to an hour and a half, and then it would be like a half an hour break for the prof, and then they would have the other set of students, and it would be like for the whole day type thing. So we did that, and one of the classes was forensic photography,
Mm.
and they actually gave us like a Canon Mark 7D and like a Canon's just 70 too, like 70, like to take home, and they let us take it home for the whole entire semester. So when they let me take that home, I literally just started playing around with the camera like crazy, and then I was like, okay, I need to get rid of my really shitty Nikon camera and
Mm-hmm.
start taking this serious. And that's kind of where I was like, okay, I love everything that I do. And like, I love the idea of going into law enforcement and like doing the forensics and doing the forensic photography. So I was applying to stuff, but it is so hard to get a job in law enforcement. So like, while I was doing that, I was like, well, why don't I just pursue photography as my own thing? Because I was already doing it like as a hobby, like with my Nikon. I just wasn't doing it as seriously
Mm-hmm.
as like I am now, obviously. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was doing it for like 8 years, and then well, like now it'll be over 8 years. But yeah, I was more so just doing that forensic photography course. That was like, holy shit, no, this is what I want to do, and
Mm-hmm.
like I want to follow this. So while I was doing that course, I ended up seeing a post from like Andrea Hunter looking for a studio assistant. So I ended up applying, meeting her, ended up getting that job, and then working for her. I've been working with her for like 5 years now as like a studio assistant. And then after that, like shortly after, it was probably like 2 years ago now. Time's honestly flying, so I can't even keep track of the years anymore. But I ended up working, like applying for like a self portrait studio called Recess. It was in Hamilton. They were only open for a couple months and then they shut down. But I ended up working for him, my boss, Divvy. He was amazing, but he was so busy with his like he had other work things
Mm-hmm.
outside of his actual like outside of that business. So I ended up just basically helping him run the business because we were only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I literally worked like every weekend for like 6 months straight for him and stuff. And then once he closed down, he was really sweet and honestly offered like selling me the whole business.
Oh,
And I was
sweet.
going to take over the whole business. But at the time, I was like, I just don't have like the funds to pay you what you want to get the like the name, to get the equipment, to get everything. It's just not financially going to work for me. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate the offer. And then he thought about it more and he came back to me, I think like a month later, and he goes, okay, like honestly, he's like, I don't want to sell the business anymore, like the name or anything. He goes, I want to keep it because I might turn it into something else later. He goes, but like I need to get rid of all my equipment. So do you want to buy my equipment from me? He goes, I'll give you such a discount. It's not even funny. So him and I worked out a discount, and like he honestly let me do it on a payment plan and everything, which I was so grateful for. Because honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have like half the stuff that's in my studio right now because half of it came from Recess. So yeah, like we ended up doing that, and then I was just sitting on all this gear for like ever, and I'm like, okay, well, like, and that like to a certain point, I was like, well, I might as well just sell this gear. Like I'm not using it enough, like because
Mm-hmm.
it was like big like strobe lights, like studio lighting. It was big, huge, soft boxes for like portraits and headshots and stuff like that. And then I had these big white boxes that you like can sit on, you can put like kids on and dogs on. So I was like, this is just taking up so much space. I have
Mm-hmm.
over 8 different backdrops from him. Like I have nowhere to put this, all the backdrop pulley systems. So I was like thinking about selling it. And then randomly, it was really funny. Me, Alyssa, and Zach went out to My Thai, to not My Thai, My Pie, like the pizza
Oh,
place.
you don't gotta tell me about
Right?
that
It
place.
was right,
I love that
yeah, it
place.
was right beside Studio Ethereal at the time, like our
Okay.
old location. And we were walking by, and I looked at Alyssa, and I'm like, what the fuck? And she goes, what? And I'm like, and I point out the window, there was a for lease sign in our window.
Whoa.
And she goes, what the fuck? Text Andrea right now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, hey, there's a for lease sign in our window, right? Like, you know about this, like, right? Like, I want to be sure because you haven't said anything. So, like, I didn't want you to be surprised next time you showed up at the studio. And she goes, oh yeah, no, I know. She goes, they're like putting it up for lease. Basically, they ended up telling me there was like 2 secret rooms in the studio that were being like rented out, that they had like locked off, and they were renting out to somebody else, and they left. So they basically told her, like, if you're going to keep your lease with us, you have to take these 2 rooms. And she's like, hey, well, I'm not taking these 2 rooms without seeing them first. Like, you need to show them to me.
No, of course.
So yeah, she got, like, they showed her the 2 rooms, and because originally she wanted to offer me those 2 rooms in the old location, but she ended up looking at them, and she's like, oh my god, she's like, they're literally just a storage space. And she's like, I already have a storage locker. Like,
yeah,
I don't need more storage space in a studio. I need more studio space. So then she's like, yeah, like, we're just gonna kind of see what happens with them getting, like, putting a lease on it, and I'm gonna start looking for a new location. And this was probably in, like, it was in October, actually, like very end of October, because I remember it was like when my pie had like their Halloween like drinks and stuff. So it was right before like Christmas and like November, December. And then I think I got a text in like December or January from Andrea, and she goes, hey, like, I've been like, are you still interested in getting another space? Like, I've been looking, because like I kept texting her, just being, hey, any updates on finding a new space? Because whether I was gonna have a space in it or not, I knew I would still be working for her as an assistant. So I was honestly just curious, because I was like, you can't go without a studio space, girl. Like, the studio is your life. So like, what's happening? I need these updates. And then she ended up texting me one day and was like, are you still like interested in having your own space? And I was like, yeah, like, why, what's up? And she goes, honestly, I think I found the perfect location for us. I'm gonna go check it out like later today or later this week, and when I do, I'll send you videos and I'll send you pictures. She sent me videos and pictures right away, and I was like, yep, count me in, like, sign me up, we're figuring it out. And even though, like, honestly, when I started with her, I was like, I was not ready. I was not financially ready. I was not, like, I had all my equipment and I had all my stuff, but I was like, I'm not financially ready. I don't have any savings. I don't have any backup plans. Like, I've been paying stuff off, like trying to get out of my school debt.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not prepared for this financially, and I don't even know if I'm fully prepared for this mentally, but I was like, I can't say no, because I was like, I know if I don't take the risk on myself and I say no to her and I'm still her assistant and I see somebody else in that space, it is going to rattle me, and it is going to, like, it's gonna hurt my soul, because I'm like, that, because I'm gonna sit there and be like, that should be me. Like, that fucking should be me.
No, of course.
So I was like, you know what? And as soon as she sent it, I was like, yep, just send me all the details and I'll figure it out. And ever since, I've just been like, hey, I'm just gonna figure it out, because I'm like, if I didn't take the risk on myself, I wouldn't have the studio space. And it's like, especially with me doing photography for as long as I have, and like, the studio will be coming up to 1 year in March. I always, like, prior to that, I always was like, yeah, I want to have my own studio. I want a studio. Like, that's my end goal. I want this really successful thing. Like, I want what Andrea's built. Like, this is amazing. I love it. Like, I want that. So, like, I was like, okay, I can't just not take the opportunity and build this place into my own. So as soon as she, like, got, like, saw it and signed the paperwork, she ended up sending me over, like, my contract and stuff, and we ended up actually getting the keys in mid-February last year, because the lease, like, the people that were in ours, they basically just left their lease early. So our landlords were super cool, and they're like, we'll just give you the keys early, and then you guys can just start setting up early, and we just won't start charging you, like, rent until March. And we're like, okay, let's slight, like, this is amazing. So then we ended up setting up, bringing all our stuff in February, and then I believe we had our open house, I think, near kind of like the end of March. And yeah, we've just kind of been up and running since.
You've been killing it.
Yeah, pretty much. Just kind of been going with the flow and literally living by the seat of my pants.
I love
Again,
that.
never prepared, but you need to take the risk on yourself, and I would have really regretted it if I didn't.
And that's the thing, right? It's a thing where you have to literally believe in yourself and take that risk, because honestly, it's funny, like, hearing how you're talking about your parents being like, okay, like, no, this is, like, again, paving the way for you. This is what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people out there in the world, they don't understand, because their parents, just because people's parents and grandparents, they worked that 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's literally, like, it's instilled in them, and they try to instill it in us to be like, you have to work the 9 to 5, you have to go to college, university. This is what you're doing because we did it, and then you're going to be better off in the world. But it's like, no, you can't really say that, because there's people like you and I and other people out there who have a different vision for ourselves, right? So, and then when you go to, and it's so like, when you go to your parents and you say, hey, mom or dad, so I kind of want to do this, and they kind of look at you like, what? And it's, relax, right? You know, I have a plan. It's like, no,
that's
we
not
didn't
my
work. Yeah, that's
plan.
not my,
Yeah.
we didn't work our whole
Right.
lives to be able to provide for you and send you away to go to school. But it's like, no, I'm thankful. Like, we're thankful that you did that, but I just have a different vision in mind.
Yeah, and just because my vision's different doesn't mean it's
Yeah,
wrong.
just exactly 100%.
Yeah.
Just because like our visions don't align exactly doesn't mean that it's wrong, right? So it's crazy, but good for you for that. But I want to rewind. I want to focus on you being adopted. What was that like growing up being adopted?
Awkward. Not
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. Well, again, like if it was more so something that was like my own personal story that I could have like figured out and dealt with on my own, I feel like I would have handled it a lot better. But it was just kind of like my family, like extended family, approached my mom and my dad and basically told my parents, like, if you don't tell her, we're going to tell her.
Oh no.
So my parents were forced to tell me at a very young age.
How old were you?
I was at under 7. Like, I've known my whole life I was adopted. So like at a very young age, and like my parents were foster parents. So like it wasn't something like that was normal. Like having foster kids, having foster like siblings, like that was normal to me, having kids in and out of the house. And then randomly it all just kind of stopped. My parents stopped being foster parents. It was only me in the house. And then it was like, oh, okay, like, well, why is everybody else gone? Like, I get it, I'm adopted, but why is everybody else gone? And it's like, but also having to deal with like the whole adoption, because with like that and like family coming out, my parents being like, well, you need to tell her. My parents felt like they needed to tell me everything where they really shouldn't have. And they should have waited until I was older. But you also know my mom has no fucking filter. So she just told me everything. And I was like, oh, wow, this is a lot to take in as a kid. And then also I think it was just very difficult because, and I don't know why, I don't know if it was something my parents, and again, it's not that I'm not proud of being adopted, but I feel like it was like kind of like a token to my mom, and it was just kind of like a bragging point where it's like, why is that something to brag about? Like, I don't know. And it was just something that always came up no matter who was in the house. And it was like, my friends would be over, oh, Shawna's adopted and this and this happened. And you're like, okay, well, like, I'd rather, like, not talk about this, and, like, why does this have to be a thing all the time? So it was constantly, like, I personally feel like I know my parents did as best as they could, and, like, it's not that I'm upset with them or anything. I just feel like they didn't handle it right, but they also didn't have any other choice in how to handle it. Because it was either they were going to tell me and I was going to deal with it in a messed up way, because you're a kid, you're too young, you don't understand it, you can't fully understand it. And now I'm sure there's plenty of books and like online resources to help kids with that, but like when we were kids, that wasn't a thing.
No.
And even if it was like most parents aren't thinking about stuff like that. They're not going to go out of their way to go get a kid like a book about adoption to understand, like to explain adoption, like, you know what I mean? So like they would explain it to like the best of their extent, and like, oh, well, like, your parents loved you, they just couldn't like take care of you, they weren't healthy, blah blah blah, and we loved you so much, so we adopted you. So like it wasn't that they explained it bad, but it was just like they exposed me to a lot more things as a kid that I shouldn't have been exposed to until I was older. So I also feel like that's where the adoption part was a really hard struggle, because it felt like I always felt like I had to grow up a lot quicker. And also, my mom was like really sick all the time, so me and my dad had to take care of her. So growing up, it was like I didn't really grow up. It was I was automatically just an adult. And then it's like once I knew, and once I was told like, oh, you have multiple siblings from both sides of your parents, you feel a very big sense of guilt, especially being adopted. Really? Well, yeah, because you're like, why was I adopted and none of my siblings? Okay. And then it's like when you're adopted, especially because I had a closed adoption, I wasn't allowed to meet anybody or know anything until I was 18. Wow. Like my parents could tell me, but like I couldn't legally go look for anybody until I was 18, or I could get in trouble.
Couldn't reach out to your siblings?
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing. Like I reached out to Children's Aid when I was 16. They told me I had to come back when I was 18. So I went back when I was 18, and I was like, okay, I'm 18 now. I want you to unseal all my records. Yeah. And when you have them unseal your records, if you don't know like exact names, they won't fully unseal your records. So they sent me a stack of paperwork this big, and every name in like it was all my court records, like everything. And it wasn't everything, because they actually had to send me a letter too saying that they lost half of my shit in some sort of like flooding or something in their offices. So it was like just mainly like the main court stuff before I got adopted. They had every single name blacked out, because they knew that I didn't fully know. They knew I knew my mom's side, like my mom's name, my mom's side like side of the family and their names, but they knew I didn't know my dad's side. So they had everything from like my biological mom's side unblocked and not blacked out.
Yeah.
But they had everything that had to do with like my biological dad's and like his side of the family, every single name blacked out. So I couldn't go find him.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then thankfully they didn't black out one part, and I picked it up while I was reading it, and I figured out what his full name was and the spell, because I already knew what his name was, but I didn't know the full spelling. I didn't know my grandma's name. Like, I didn't know anything of that, and there was a few slip-ups where things weren't blacked out.
Okay.
So I was able to pick some things up, and then after that, I sat with it for a bit, and I didn't start looking, because I was like, hey, this is still a lot to take in, because it gives you the full, like, front to back, and it basically was like, well, this is why you were adopted. Your dad tried fighting for you, and then he just didn't show up for court because he went to Mexico and just never came back. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, what the fuck? So it was just like a lot to deal with. And then, so I just like was like, I don't really want to search. And then like I remember I was talking to like my dad about it one day when we were driving, and I was like, yeah, like I think I might like try and reach out to them. And he's like, okay, well, like, how do you think you're going to do it? And I looked at him and I was like, you're not going to be mad, right? And he's like, no, why? And I was like, well, I already found everybody on Facebook. I was like, I just haven't reached out because I don't know if I want to. I was like, I'm kind of scared too. I'm like, what if nobody wants, like, cares? What if nobody wants, and, like, I was like, I was adopted for a reason. Like, you know, like, what if, like, you know, and I'm like, and also, like, what if my siblings don't want anything to do with me? What if my siblings don't even know about me? Like, I don't want to just sprung that on them and all that type of stuff. And he was like, honestly, I think you should. He's like, as much as I don't love it, he's like, because obviously it sucks. Like, I'm your dad. And he's like, but I'm never going to stop you from finding your family. I just do it. And I was like, okay, you know what? And I literally was in the car beside him, and I Facebook messaged literally my biological mom. And I was like, hey, like, I don't know if you're the right person, but this is who I am. Like, if not, like, my bad, so sorry. Literally, I think it was like a couple days later, I got a response. Fucking her losing her shit, being, oh my god, blah, 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 you finally found me, all this stuff. Like, yeah, you have 3 siblings, you have a younger sister, a younger brother, and another younger sister, and they're all kind of, like, scattered. Like, your one younger sister, Bree, lives out, like, in Markham, like, in Ontario, and I was like, the fuck? Like, I have a sister here, and I didn't know this whole entire time. Like, fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And then she's like, you have a brother too, and your brother's out in Ontario, like, with her and, like, their dad, because they share the same dad. And then your youngest sister, Selena, she's out, like, with her dad, because, like, we all have different dads. We only have the same mom, but, like, the only, like, Bree and Cody, they have the same dad.
Okay.
So, like, they share the same mom and dad, whereas me and Selena only share the same mom with them. So we're half siblings to them, whereas, like, Cody and Bree are full siblings. So then I ended up reaching out to Bree's dad, because she ended up giving me Bree's dad's name. And I ended up reaching out to him because I was like, well, she's only 16. Like, I'm not going to reach out to her, and, like, because I don't even know if she knows about me. So I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, like, this is a situation. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm, like, your daughter's, like, sister, like, older sister. I'd love to, like, meet her sometime. He was super nice, and I ended up going and meeting her at the Children's Aid, like, fucking office out in Markham for her 16th birthday. And we celebrated her birthday together, and that was the first time I met her. And then a couple months later, I ended up meeting Cody, because Cody actually wasn't living with them at the time.
Okay.
He was in foster care just because things didn't work out. And so I ended up meeting him at the office, like, a couple months later, with, like, just by himself and with his, like, foster parents at the time. And his foster parents were so sweet. They actually invited me out, like, to go up to, like, their house in Keswick.
Really?
Yeah, to go, like, so I could go see him, because they knew, like, we didn't know each other. We didn't really have a relationship. So they let me come up with my dog the one time, and I ended up, like, spending, like, probably, like, 6 hours there. And Keswick is a far drive. Like, a far, far drive.
I've heard.
Yeah, and I literally went up there for dinner and, like, ended up just staying there for, like, 6 hours, because they're like, it's a far drive. Like, we're in no rush to make you leave. Like, spend time with your brother. So, like, that was really nice, and I got to, like, meet them that way. And then I've never met Selena, because Selena's a lot older, lot younger. Like, me and Bree, we only have 4 years apart. Me and Cody, we have, like, either 5 or 6 years apart. I think it's 5. And then me and Selena, like, we have a lot more, because I think Selena's 19 now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've never met Selena, because, again, she's out in Alberta, like, with her side of the family. And then I ended up knowing, like, them for a few years, and then I started trying to look for my biological dad, because I more so held that anger of being like, well, fuck you just went to Mexico and left me. I don't care to find you. And it's like,
you're coming to fight for me, and then you just
Yeah, and then I was just like, also too, like, I just like, if you're here in Hamilton, like, I don't want to know that, because that's just going to make me more mad knowing you didn't care to try and find me, and you didn't fight for me, and you didn't make any sort of effort, when literally in the paperwork up until that court date, they made it seem like you were the only parent that cared.
Mm-hmm.
And also, not even just that, like, even I remember, like, growing up as, like, a kid, my parents always would say, like, you're, like, it's not that my biological parents were bad people, they just made really bad decisions, but they always were like, it was always your biological dad that tried to fight for you more.
Okay.
And that, like, was more understanding and more, like, wouldn't give my, like, adoptive parents, like my parents now, he wouldn't give them a hard time because he knew they were taking care of me. Whereas, like, my biological mom was like, nope, I'm gonna give you the hardest time, and I'm gonna do anything to get her back so I can have the baby bonus. Because I was just a check. We were all just a fucking check to her. As much as she's never gonna see this, but even if she did, she'll like, oh no, you aren't. We were literally all just a fucking check to her.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah, and it's sad, it's shitty, but it is what it is. And then I ended up finding him on Facebook, and I remember I found him, and I was like, please don't be him. Because I was like, this man looks, and I don't even care, the man looks so fucking cracked out in all his Facebook photos, even with the girl he is with, like, you could tell the girl he is with was, like, on drugs, like, in his photos. And I was like, if this is him, like, I don't want to know him. Like, I don't want to know him. So, like, fair. I didn't reach out, and then I ended up, I just kept going back and creeping this stuff and seeing, like, who he had mutuals with. So I ended up reaching out to my grandma at the time. I didn't know for sure if it was my grandma. And I was like, hey, like, I see that you're a mutual friend with, like, Clay. I've already messaged him. He hasn't answered me. It's been months now. So I figured I'd reach out to you because you're actually, I can tell you're more active on Facebook. Like, this is the situation. And it was so funny. My grandma tweaked because she was like, she thought I was fucking with her. Like, she didn't realize it was actually me, and she thought I was just playing with her and fucking her around. And she goes, this isn't funny, and, like, this isn't a game. Like, I don't know why you're doing this and why you're trying to upset us. And I was like, no, like, I'm your granddaughter, I'm pretty sure. Like, Clay's your son, right? And he had a daughter he gave up for adoption. And she goes, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm his daughter. Like, yeah. And she was like, she lost it, like, with joy, because she was like, oh my god, like, I never thought I'd meet you, like, oh my, like, all this stuff. And then, yeah, she, like, confirmed with me, like, that he was in Hamilton. He's been in Hamilton my whole life. So I probably have run into him and didn't know that was your dad. Yep, didn't even know it. And then after that, she really wanted to meet me. So I met her. Me and my grandma have a great relationship. She's great. But I think after that, I've honestly only seen my biological dad maybe 2 or 3 times, because it was just, I can tell, obviously he's had a really hard life too. It's no judgment, and it is what it is. He's made stupid decisions, but I can tell he feels very guilty about it. And he feels very guilty because I ended up, once I met my grandma, I ended up finding out I have 2 other siblings. Okay. I have a brother out west. Don't even know his name. Like, none of us know his name. We don't even know if he's still alive. Like, nothing. And then I have a younger sister here in Hamilton too. So that was like, what the fuck? Like, I even have a sister here in the same city, and I didn't know. Like, this is crazy. So then I met with my grandma a lot, and, like, but with him, I just never saw him because you could tell it was a lot of guilt, and he's ashamed. He didn't raise either one of us. Wasn't a part of our lives. And he kept making plans with me to meet me, and then just would no show. So I would be, like, going down to my grandma's to go meet him, and my grandma would call me, like, crying, being like, I'm really sorry. He just, like, fucked off. Like, he knows you're coming, and he knows you're on your way, and he left. I don't think he's coming back. Wow. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, so like, I'd cry a lot because you're just like, well, why don't you want to meet me? Like, I want to meet you. So I met him, like, once or twice, and then the last time I actually saw him was probably, at this point, probably 4 or 5 years ago now. Okay. Yeah, he called me randomly one day. Not even called me. He Facebook messaged me one day and goes, hey, like, just so you know, like, do you talk to Chelsea, like, my sister? And I was like, yeah, why, what's up? And he goes, just so you know, he's like, I didn't want to tell you guys. He goes, but like, they're really on my ass here. And he goes, I just had a really serious heart attack, and they don't know if I'm going to make it. Like, I'm going in for open heart surgery, and the nurse is giving me absolute shit that I haven't told any of my family, and I haven't told my daughters, because they don't know, like, if I'm going to make it, like, through this heart surgery and all this stuff. And even as much as I was like, fuck you, you suck. Like, why do I even need to see you? I ended up calling my sister, and then my sister went and saw him. And, like, my sister obviously has, like, more history with him, so it's a lot more for her to go see him. So the poor thing, she ended up just having, like, an anxiety attack the whole entire time when we were there, and we had to leave. But, like, we went, and it was just so annoying because he made it seem like he wanted to see the both of us, and then literally only talked to my sister the whole entire time and just acted like I didn't exist. And then I kept, like, she didn't contact him at all after, and I kind of kept in contact, just being like, hey, how's the surgery going? How's this and that? And then after he had the surgery, he went MIA and stopped talking to me altogether. And then he lived back with my grandma and literally told my grandma he didn't want to see me anymore, lied to my grandma and said that I showed up with my sister and he didn't want my sister at the hospital, even though I literally have Facebook, like, proof, like Facebook messages of him literally begging me to ask me to bring my little sister there and for us to go visit him. And he tweaked on my grandma saying that I showed up and I had no business showing up with my younger sister and all this stuff. And I was so mad because my grandma didn't tell me this until literally last year. And while he was living with her, I wasn't allowed to go see her. So I didn't see her for almost 2 years because he was living there. Wow. And then he just is such, like, a tweaker. He's just, again, he doesn't get along with my grandma great. And it was really toxic. And then I guess, like, they just got in a really big fight one day and my grandma ended up kicking him out again. And then she called me and she goes, please come over. She's like, because now you actually can come over and I'm not going to feel bad. And, like, you're not going to feel awkward and you're not going to have to, like, feel like you're walking on eggshells either. Because I went over one time when he did live there. He literally just stayed in his room. He didn't even acknowledge me. Literally, all he said was hi, and that was it, and went into his room and didn't come back out and talk to me at all.
Wow.
Yeah, so, like, it was really rough, but, like, just kind of deal with it. And it kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
See what I mean? I told you I was going to ramble.
No. There's nothing wrong with that. Thank you for telling me that. 'Cause I didn't even know about all that. Like, thank you so much.
I know, it's been a while.
I'm at loss of words.
Yeah.
But no, obviously, you're a strong individual.
I try.
I'll tell you that right now, and, like, keep doing what you're doing because what you're doing is a good thing.
Thank you.
I also want to touch on the rugby because obviously, like, well, we all know. Okay, first of all, guys, you see Shawna, sports problems. Like, I'm talking about track and field, cross country, basketball, volleyball, like, everything.
Yeah.
Crazy fast, ridiculous.
Keep me at it all.
Like, I mean, like, I thought I was fast, but
that's used to race.
literally, right? I remember this though. You had an opportunity that had to do with rugby.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to talk about it because this ain't about me. This is about you. So you need to tell the audience about this opportunity because this opportunity is crazy.
Yeah. So what he's talking about was I used to play, like, rugby really heavily, especially in, like, it just started in high school, and then it became my whole life because I fell in love with it. And honestly, I'm so glad I went to Sherwood. If I didn't, I wouldn't have had a lot of the experiences I had. And honestly, rugby changes your life. Like, out of all sports, like, you know me, I played everything. And mainly my main thing, even though I played everything, my main thing was basketball. Yeah. Loved basketball. Yep. Basketball was my life. Like, that was, like, my thing. Once I joined rugby, I was like, what the fuck, and why did I not join this sooner? Because the community in a rugby team is so different than any other sport. It is wild. It is so wild. Like, they're literally your family at that point. And it's like, yeah, it's like that in other sports. I'm not saying that it's not, but, like, the camaraderie, the way, like, we'd all hang out after games, the way we would have end of the year parties, the way we would actually, like, all want to hang out together.
The love for each other.
Yeah, like, we were all sisters, and it was like, I have your back, you have mine. And honestly, if it wasn't for rugby and basketball in high school, and especially rugby, like, I would have just been that loner that went through high school and didn't really make many friends because I'm not one to put myself out there. But I had some great girls that literally took me under their wing. I knew them from playing basketball in elementary school, and they played basketball in high school and played rugby, and they just took me under their wing. And they're like, nope, you're going to spend every day with me. You're going to have lunch with me until you make friends, until you're comfortable and shit. Like, we don't want you to leave because we want you here. And, like, having that feeling of having a whole team, like, want you and care about you so badly, just, like, I feel like you don't get that with other sports. And if you do, it's singled out to one fucking person. Whereas, like, rugby, everybody feels it. So I was playing it like crazy, and I think it was grade 10. Yeah, it was grade 10. It was my second year playing, and I'm pretty sure that was the year we went to SASA and OFSA, and we actually won our championship game. We won SASA. We ended up going to OFSA. So that summer, I was already playing Stony Creek. When you play Stony Creek, I was playing, what it been turning 16 at the time. So I was still playing U15, so under 15. And then I could start playing women's, because you can start playing women's once you turn 16.
Okay.
Because it's like 16 to like, I think they cap it. Like, they don't even cap it anymore. Like, honestly, I know women who still play it in their 30s.
Yeah.
So like, I could go play, but like, if you didn't feel like ready, they would still let you do U15. So I was still doing my tournament. So we were practicing every Tuesday and Thursday at Salt Fleet from like 6 to 8, so 2-hour practice every night. And then, like, not every night, but every Tuesday and Thursday. And then I would have tournaments every Sunday. And then I ended up getting my friend Natasha, and my friend Tabitha, like, that played rugby. We all got offered to go try out for the like Niagara, Ontario Summer Games team, because every year in Canada, it's not always in Ontario, like, they do a Summer Games, and it's basically like a kids Olympics, and they do it like per sport. They have like medals, they do all that, and like, for a lot of it is like recruitment for the Olympics and for like high national level teams and stuff. So I was doing that all summer. So I literally had rugby Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday was my night off. Had tournaments with Niagara on Saturday. Jeez. Or like training on Saturdays. And then I had tournaments like with my other team on Sunday. So it was literally, I was doing rugby 6 days a week, every single week throughout the summer. And then the Ontario Summer Games took place, I think it was up somewhere in Toronto. Like, it was at a school, like a really nice school. I don't even remember where exactly, but we were there for 3 days. We stayed in dorms, and it was literally like, again, like an Olympic tournament. And our Niagara team had 2 teams. We had an A team and a B team. We were on the B team, which was fine, like, whatever. It was still an experience, but like, we were like, our teams were so good and we made it so far that they were talking about like, they were getting us to do like, once we were done like the games, because our A team ended up winning the games, I'm pretty sure. They said like, they're gonna have all of us, like the A team and the B team, come in and go to like all the Olympic tryouts and go to the actual like Rugby Canada tryouts. So that's where my focus was, and then I fucked up my ACL.
Olympics, crazy, right?
Yeah.
No, that's no. It's so interesting. Like, you grew up adopted. Then you were talking about in grade 8, like, you're gonna go to Barton, and then you get called into to go to the office. Oh, like the Sherwood rugby coach is there. Then you're doing the whole summer rugby thing. You don't even want to do it.
Yep, no.
All right, and then your 2 friends drop out. Your parents said you're still doing it, even though you were just like, it's that path. You're still doing it. Did all that, and then literally you're thinking you're going to Barton. You kill the tournament, whatever, right? And then, you got to sign here. Your parents already signed. You're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
You're not going to Barton. You're going to Sherwood.
Yeah.
Fine. You thought you were gonna be a week late. Ended up starting on time, which is awesome. Killed the tournament, obviously, and then obviously when you're playing the sports, playing for the team, you killed the team, and then unfortunately you got injured, which is so sad.
That's what always happens.
Unfortunately, and then you also then go to university, kinesiology. Don't like it.
No.
Also missed that one class, and if you miss 2 of them, you're done. Like, you fail automatically.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, go to your guidance counselor. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm interested in doing criminology. You do all that. You said you went to the Brantford campus for that, right?
Yeah.
Went to the Brantford campus for that. Did it. And then you're sitting back. You're like, okay, what am I gonna do? I'm working at Walmart. I'm selling cell phones. What am I gonna do? Then you end up doing forensics.
Yeah.
Fall in love with forensics photography.
Yeah.
Get that beautiful Canon camera. Now you're taking it more serious. You're taking pictures. You're doing all that. Then you end up doing that, and you finish it. And then what was it? You went to, what was it? You said recess?
Yeah. So I was still working. Like, honestly, what was I even doing besides working at recess? Because I was working another job. I've worked so many jobs, I honestly can't keep track.
Regardless of working at recess, you got offered to take over.
Yeah.
Then obviously due to financial reasons, couldn't. Gave you a killer deal
Yeah.
On all the equipment. You have all this equipment. You're sitting there like, okay, what am I going to do with this? Then shout out to, what was it, Andrea Hunter?
Yeah, Andrea Hunter.
Shout out to Andrea Hunter. You're working with her for a bit, and then you think, and then she gives you this opportunity. You're like, okay, like, am I ready for this? I don't know. Which you said you took a chance on yourself, as you should.
Yeah.
And then you, your friend, and your partner at the time end up going to my pie, and you see this for lease sale, like for lease sign,
which was wild.
And then you call her, and then you guys talk, and she's like, "No, like don't worry, like we're gonna figure it out." Then you end up having a studio because now you have your studio as well.
Yeah,
you have a studio, which is awesome. You deserve that. So it's like you started from all of that, and look at where you are now.
Yeah.
And how does it feel?
Amazing.
And you love photography.
Oh yeah.
And she's good at it, by the way. Obviously. Honestly, like what I want to say to you, like even though it took you a while to find like your biological parents, at the end of the day, your foster parents, shout out to you guys, they helped shape you into the person that you are today, and you are just a remarkable human being inside and out, beautiful inside and out. And I think you're just a great human being.
So sweet.
And I am so proud of you, because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be the person you are today. And if it wasn't for you working so hard, and like I said earlier, the challenges that she faced, and she never quit, and you're still doing it. So honestly, like, shout out to you. And you know what? Because as you know, I don't talk to my father.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I was raised by my mommy, my nana, my auntie, and my grandfather, who's my dad.
Yeah.
And I just have to say, thank you, mommy. Thank you, nana. Thank you, auntie. And thank you, grandpa, for raising me and making me into the man who I am today. I love you guys. And it's great for people like you and I to have those people that care about us, because it could have been a lot worse.
No, for sure.
And we're doing great.
No, exactly.
So again, I'm proud of you. But before we finish this episode, there's 2 questions that I have to ask you.
Okay.
So the first question, has there ever been a point in your life where you felt like you hit rock bottom? If so, what did you do to overcome that and bounce back?
I definitely think the last 2 years has been rock bottom. I think, honestly, the 2 biggest things is, the one, my mom had a stroke, and it literally was out of the blue. It wasn't like, it wasn't 2025, it's 2024. Literally was driving to work, got a call, my mom had a stroke, and we were on our way to the hospital, and I was on my way to work, and I called work, and I said, I'm not coming to work. I'm literally 2 minutes away, and I'm turning the fuck around, and I'm going to the hospital, and I'm dealing with this.
Yeah.
And I spent, it was every single day for 2 months straight at the hospital. And then I dealt with that. And then after, I ended up getting in a car accident, actually, while I was taking, like, trying to figure out what long-term care we were going to put my mom in. I ended up getting in a car accident on the way to go check out my long-term care homes, because I also was taking time off to literally go check out, like, 4 to 5 long-term care homes in a day for her and stuff. So that ended up happening. I ended up losing my car, and then things ended up getting really hard at work. And then I actually ended up getting fired later that year in October because of how much work I was missing, and it just wasn't working out for the company. And that year, honestly, was just kind of like my rock bottom. And it was just more so like, it was a lot mentally, and it was a lot physically too, and it was very draining, because when somebody has a stroke, and my mom had a stroke to the point, like, she suffered brain damage, and she's never gonna fully be herself again, and she also has dementia too. So it was every day for 3 months in a hospital, who are you? Yeah. And her calling thinking the nurses were me, and I was her nurse, so that was really hard. And then also too, once I got let go, and it was, I'm not fully saying it's on my past job, because it was on me. I wasn't a great employee at the time because of what I was going through and what was happening. But I feel like that really, like, after I got fired, because I ended up getting fired because I was sick on Thanksgiving weekend. And I remember I was so sick, and even Alyssa's like, I've never seen you so sick before. And she's like, this isn't even a hangover, nothing. Like, you had 1 drink yesterday, and this is a full 24 hours later. Like, what is up with you? Because I remember I woke up, and I just looked at her, and I was like, I don't feel good. And she's like, no. And I was like, no. And I literally was like projectile, like vomiting and like sick to my stomach for like 8 hours straight, like nonstop. Alyssa had to go out to her family's. Zach at the time was out golfing. Like, I was just dying in bed, and I ended up texting work being like, I have not been able to stop puking. I don't know if I'm going to come in tomorrow. And I basically got the text saying, okay, I'm being let go. And honestly, as soon as that happened, I was obviously very mad and upset, because I didn't want to be fired. I liked what I did, but I was like, after they did that, I was like, hey, no, you know what? Fuck this. I was like, as mad as I am, I was like, I don't even want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. So as shitty and as crappy as this is, I don't care. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to make something out of it, whether it's me just working shit jobs until I can go get my own studio or go do my own thing like full time and not have to worry about bills or not have to worry, oh, is somebody going to book me? Can I pay my stuff? That's where kind of like the catalyst was for me, where I was like, hey, no, I'm done working for other people. I don't want to do this anymore. And I need to focus on how I'm going to further myself and my goals further rather than having my goals. And it wasn't that I wasn't chasing my goals and I wasn't focused on them. I just feel like with everything in that year, I was so busy with family stuff and so busy trying to like juggle all these different heads and doing what I was doing at work and juggling everything for my parents and my family at the time, and then also juggling moving back home and all that. It was just a lot. So it was like, once that happened, I was like, okay, no, fuck this. Like, I need to just focus on me. And then I honestly didn't work. That happened in October of not 2020 of 2024. So all of 2025, I didn't work until I started working at Henry's again. So I literally, all of 2025, I just worked for myself and worked my business. And I got my studio last year. So I literally went into it with nothing.
Yeah.
And like, but again, as much as I had that path of like, you're going to do this and that, I knew I needed to take the risk on myself, even with having nothing, even with literally hitting rock bottom the year before, and still basically being in my rock bottom place, because I was like, you know what, if I don't do this, and even though I wasn't ready, when is anybody ever ready for anything?
You're telling me?
So yeah, that's what I mean. When is anybody ever ready for anything? 100%. So it was just like, fuck it, no, I need to take the risk and let's do it.
You just picked yourself up and said, you know what, I can sit. You have two options. Either one, I sit here and just dwell in my thoughts and I can just, maybe become depressed and just nothing happens out of it. Or two, I can just say, you know what, life happens. I'm a strong individual and I'm going to go out there and do it.
No facts. And I'm going to make shit happen. And damn straight.
I love that. Second question. What is a huge accomplishment that you're still so proud of till this day?
Oh, wow. I don't know. That's a tough one.
That's why I asked these questions.
Yeah, that's actually a really tough one. You're actually really making me think about this.
That's just what I do.
You should have prepped me before. What the fuck?
Can't. Let's see what you got. Because I know you have a lot of accomplishments.
Yeah, but I'm just like trying to think of something that's like more recent.
It can be recent. It can be anything. I'm just curious to know what it is.
Honestly, like, it's not recent. I feel like one that's just gonna always stick with me, and it's gonna circle back to rugby, and it's just funny that it does, is honestly, I really think winning the championships and winning Sausa. Because the way me and those girls put in so many hours. And again, like, it was, for me, and it's funny because when they watch, like, everybody watches this video, they're gonna hear the love and the passion I have for rugby. That's anybody who plays rugby, though. So when you're filled with that, and it's, you have a team of literally 30 plus girls, and especially with the way our high school team was, we were the underdogs. We never won shit. It wasn't until that year that we absolutely just crushed it.
Dominated.
And even our coach was like, what the fuck? Like, this is unreal. Like, this is crazy. And I remember us winning the championships, and it was the whole movie scene you see in the movies. Where you take the cooler and you dump it on your coach. And it was like the whole experience. And it was the same thing during Sausa too. Because and I think Sausa mainly sticks with me more, only because I remember in Sausa is a lot different. You have teams from all other districts, like other cities and stuff, come to decide if you go to offset. And I remember you have 3 games, and it was, you had to win 2 of them to move on to the third, like, because the final game was like the top 2 teams to play to see who goes. Like, you both win, but like, if you're first, like, you get in a higher tier in offset and stuff. And I remember it was the I'm pretty sure it was our final game in Sausa. If not, it was like the second final to go into like our final game of the tournament. And we were tied. So we had to literally settle the score by doing the conversion kicks. But when you do it that way, you don't do it like you do it normally in rugby, because basically wherever you score the try, and the ball's touched down, that's where you have to line up the ball there, and you could go 20 meters back, 30, like it's up to you. No, you had to go a standard 45 meters back from the goalpost.
Jeez.
That's the furthest I've ever kicked.
Jeez.
And I was our only kicker.
Jeez.
So I remember standing there with all the girls surrounding me, and they told me that, and I just started crying.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Really?" And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "This is so much pressure."
Yeah.
I'm like, "You guys realize if I don't make these, we don't move on?"
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is on me.
Yeah.
Like, the absolute, like, gut feeling, I was like, I can't do this. And I remember my two teammates were like, you know what? We'll kick with you. It's fine. We're not going to make it. We'll kick with you. And I'm like, actually? They're like, yeah. They're like, you pick which one you want to do, because basically they made you do it from one side of the field, the middle, and then the other side. Mm-hmm. So, like, you pick which one you want to do. And if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. Like, we're not going to be mad at you. And we don't want you to feel like it's all on you. Mm-hmm. And that's where rugby's different.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, you have so much respect for your teammates. And honestly, like, even just watching other sports, like, the respect you have for the refs is so much different in rugby compared to other sports. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, we ended up scoring. I didn't end up scoring the kick, which I'm glad I didn't have to kick it all.
Yeah, yeah.
But my girl ended up scoring, and we ended up moving on. And that was, like, huge to us. And even just that, we're like, even if we don't win sauce, so, like, the fact that we beat one of the hardest teams that nobody can beat is, like, unreal to us. So, like, I feel like that's going to always stick with me. I'm sure there's going to be more as more time goes on, and especially with the studio and stuff popping off.
Yeah.
But I feel like that really stuck with me just because of, like, the size of it. Whereas, like, if we looked at something more little, I really feel like another, like, accomplishment that would stick with me is honestly just Andrea asking me and, like, wanting me to be a part of her studio that way, and not because, like, she could have asked anyone. Yeah, it was great because I did work for her for so long already, but she didn't have to ask me. She has so many other creative friends in the industry.
She saw something.
That's what I mean. She didn't have to take the chance on me. So, like, I also feel like if it wasn't for her asking me that and wanting to take the chance on me, I don't feel like I would have fully taken the chance on myself either. So, like, I'm super appreciative of that. And, like, that it obviously, too, is still a huge accomplishment. But it's more of a smaller one because it's not as many people.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Shawna. You're great.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and being on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You guys take care.
Bye.